Okay, so I thought I was finished with the router table build, but I've discovered a flaw that needs to be resolved before I can properly use it. The Perspex insert I made is flexing in the middle due to the weight of the router, and this produces a dip in the middle by at least 1 mm. Here you can see this flat piece of wood. Now when I run it across the insert, you can see the far end lift up. And then as it progresses across the plate, it flattens out. But this of course leaves a gap, and then as I exit the insert, the front end lifts up. With this piece of paper and a ruler, you can clearly see the depression as there is a gap between them. I can even fit this folded post-it note between them. I did try resolving this with some support struts, however this didn't work at all. You can see that the incoming wood hits the lip of the insert as it's flexing up due to it resting on the support struts. Clearly the Perspex is too flexible and the router too heavy. So I took the insert to a sheet metal fabricator and they cut 2 identical mild steel inserts. They even made the finger holes for me. I still need to create the centre hole and also the mounting holes, so let's start off with the centre hole. Using the existing insert, I traced the centre hole, but next I need to find out the centre of this hole for the hole saw drill bit. Funnily enough, I saw a YouTube video the other day that explained how to find the centre of a circle, so I'll demonstrate it here. You draw a line across 2 edges of the circle that is an even number in length. In this case it's 4 centimeters. You then mark the centre of this line. Here it's 2 centimeters, and then draw a perpendicular line on this measurement. You then repeat this step on another location of the circle, and where the 2 perpendicular lines intersect is the centre of the hole. Easy. Time to bring out the drill press to bore this hole out. It takes a while, but slow and steady with plenty of oil is all it takes, and eventually the hole is done. As you can see, here is a nice clean cut hole and the piece of scrap looks like a dangerous weapon. I repeat this again with the other insert and before too long it's all done. Next up is to file a smooth edge on the inside of this circle, in particular the underside of where the hole saw came out. There is a significant burr that needs to be removed. Additionally, you don't want sharp square edges on the top surface of the insert as wood will be passing across and you don't want it catching on the exit. Once again I do this to both inserts before proceeding. Now it's time to make holes to mount the router to the insert. I'm using the plate here from my Makita 1/2 inch shank router to locate the holes. This time around I'm going to leave this plate off the router and mount the router directly to the insert. Previously I had to use the 2 centre holes, but this doesn't feel strong enough considering how fast the router is spinning and the forces exerted when running wood over the bit. I had originally done this with the first insert I created, but I ended up cracking it because I left the 2 centre screws in place. On later reflection I realised I didn't need those screws there, so I've removed them and put them in a safe place. So after drilling the holes and countersinking them, I mount it to the router and it's perfect. I repeat the same process on this second insert. This time I use the plate from the Ozito 1/4 inch shank router. After all of that, I've finished all the metalwork required on these 2 inserts and they look great. I use my orbital sander with 120 grit paper to remove the surface rust. This really chews through the sanding discs, however I don't have a bench grinder with a wire wheel or an angle grinder here, so this will do the job. I go over the edges with a block and then give all the holes a good fingering. I finish off by putting rags through the screw holes and now they are all ready for spray painting. The clothesline came in handy here. I was able to hang the inserts from it and the nice sunny day will ensure the paint dries nicely. Randy decided here that we needed to play. Probably not the smartest idea as you can see some fluff in the air, but how could I say no to him? Anyways, I give it 1 coat of primer, leave it for an hour and then come back and do another coat of primer. I then apply a coat of white spray paint every hour over the next 4 hours. Randy really wanted to play again, however, I didn't think he liked the smell of the paint and decided to take a step back. I leave these overnight to dry and the next day I test fit them into the insert recess and you can see here that the steel insert is thicker than the Perspex. The Perspex is 4.5mm thick and the steel is 5mm thick, so now I have to repeat the process of routing the recess again. I install the pattern bit into my 1/4" shank router and use the steel insert under the guide to determine the correct depth of the router bit. Check out part 7 in this series where I explain this step in more detail. With this ready, I need to put the insert into the existing recess to place the guides up flush to it. However, I'm going to add these spaces for the insert to rest on so the guides are hitting the square edge of the steel. Once the insert is in place, I put double-sided tape down first and then place each guide flush up against the insert. When they are all in place, I remove the insert and the risers, and now it's time to do the route. It doesn't take long to do the route, and afterwards there's this small lip I need to remove as the router piece isn't wide enough by about 1/4 millimeter. After this, I put the insert back in place and it fits much better. So I remove one of the guides, and as you can see, the double-sided tape is pretty strong. I can now check the level of the insert against the table and it seems okay. So off with the other 3 guides and the double-sided tape before putting the insert back in. It still seems a little proud, so I spend a bit of time here filing and sanding to bring it down flush. Using a flat piece of wood, I check all over and it's exactly as it needs to be. One last check is to attach the router to the insert and then drop it into the recess so it has the weight of the router pulling it down. Here, with my square ruler across the surface, I can barely get this post-it note under the ruler right near the centre, a significant difference to the Perspex insert I originally had. And that's it, folks, the very last final episode of the router table build. This was annoying me, so I'm glad it's finally done. I'm sure you'll see it in some future projects, so stay tuned. Anyways, I hope things are well for you in your part of the world, and until next time, bye!